Last night, 3 candidates for Wilkes-Barre City Mayor were invited to a forum hosted by the Times Leader. The 3 candidates, Mayor Thomas M. Layton, Democrat, Lisa Cope, Republican, and Betsy Summers, Libertarian, were given about 2 minutes for opening statements, and then the rest of the time, about an hour and a half, was used for audience questions. About 210 people attended the forum at Wilkes University. The candidates fielded questions from the audience on all types of issues, including financial and spending, citywide cleanup, recreational, transparency, and taxes.
We know the city has progressed over the last 7 years. I would like to hear from each candidate about his or her plans for the city's future, including major projects. And then there's a mention of county money being sent to the train station refurbishing instead of the Sterling Hotel and the detours around the hotel that currently exist.
I believe that the major projects for the city should be the revitalization of our neighborhoods, which are in deplorable condition. I don't believe that the city should be giving any money to the Hotel Sterling or City Vest. I don't think the city should be in the process or in the business of acquiring properties.
Downtown is the heart of the city, and we maintain that. As I mentioned previously, we've done a lot of work in the neighborhoods. 184 streets have been paved, 5 bridges have been replaced, 1,400 catch basins have been repaired. We've done a lot of work in the neighborhoods. We'll continue to do a lot of work in the neighborhoods.
First thing I would do would be I would cut the mayor's pay by $10,000, and I would eliminate the mayor's pension. That's something as mayor that I can do. I don't, as a libertarian, I don't feel any elected official should be on the backs of the working people for the rest of their lives. It's just wrong, and then I'd go after city council.
The issue of a security system being installed in both Mayor Layton's and former city administrator J.J. Murphy's homes was brought up.
Why should the taxpayers have to foot the bill for the cost and installation of security systems at the mayor's home and the residence of the former city administrator? And why wouldn't the administration require the former administrator to reimburse the city after he resigned his position?
Back in 2004, as I just previously discussed, we made extremely difficult decisions with the city budget. We did a financial recovery plan, which called us to reduce staffing at City Hall, reduce staffing in the firehouses, close fire stations. I made a commitment to our governor then, Ed Rendell, who provided us with a financial team that put up the recovery plan in place. When we enacted that recovery plan, things went south. Council meetings became very volatile. The atmosphere was bad. Mr. Murphy at the time received a threat at his house when somebody tried to break in. We received verbal threats. We received threats in the letters in the mail. And we received threats at our home. We had cars going by our home. We had cars going through the back of my home. We met with the city police department. We met with the state police. We did a thorough investigation. The recommendation was to have around-the-clock security would have been too costly. The next best thing was security systems. I have an obligation to protect my family, my children, and my staff. The reason why I was threatened as the mayor, as was my city administrator. When the city administrator left city government, we received an estimate to have the system removed from his dwelling. The estimate was far higher than it was what the cost of the system was. That was a financial decision that I made based on what it would have cost to remove the system and repair the house as what the system would have actually worth.
Take one for my house. Yeah. I know you talked about the installation of the security system, but I have proof right here that there's more to it than that. The city is also paying for J.J. Murphy's monitoring fees, and I have proof right there.
Frank Sorick, campaign manager for Lisa Cope, talked about the documents and invoices that he had regarding the security system.
Why is Torvik billing the city and JJ? If JJ says he paid them and the city also got billed, it sounds like someone in accounting over at the city isn't asking important questions. And so much for leadership.
Elections will be held on November 8th. Each of the candidates had a few words to say after the forum.
Well, I felt I answered the questions in a professional way. I believe that a lot of the questions were not answered correctly. We're running a city with a $45 million annual operating budget with a $250 million balance sheet. It's a full-time job. You deal with 4 unions and 300 city employees. And, you got to go to Harrisburg, you have to go to Washington, you have to meet with people on Wall Street to make sure that your bond rating and your credit rating stays stable. This is a very demanding job. It's a job that inexperience can really affect the taxpayers of the city of Wilkes-Barre. And I believe my experience shows with the questions that I answered and the lack of answers on the questions that they were posed to.
I think I did very well, considering I haven't run a city for 7 years and been on city council. But in regards to the questions asked, I believe, as proof by the audience applause when he would answer a question, of course, most of the questions probably came from his supporters, and I think the questions were more staggered that he was going to give the best answer. But I mean, I take pride in my answers, and I take pride that I showed up here, and I gave the best answers I could give. Most of the residents weren't here. The actual people who live in the city were not here. I mean, they were not represented at all. I mean, they did have an opportunity to come out here, and I don't think anything I said, Tom said, or Betsy said, we all have our staunch supporters, and that's who showed up at this forum tonight.
I was very appreciative that the people of the city came out to listen to us and to find out where we stand on the issues and our vision for the city of Wilkes-Barre. So I think overall it was a great night. The questions were great, and the audience was involved. And it was a lot of fun. When he started out on city council 20 years ago, he didn't have any experience either, except for in his real estate business. So, but I've been watching what's been going on in this city for those 20 years also, and I think it's time we need a change.
How do you think your experience in sales will benefit the taxpayers?
Well, when it comes to promoting the city to businesses, I can do that as a salesperson. As you can tell, I'm not shy, and I'm willing to listen to people because the number one key to sales is listening.
To see more of the candidates' answers and the forum in its entirety, go to www.timesleader.com.